Hey guys, thought today would be a good day to share a story about what keeps me going from day to day. Because a lot of my friends and some of my just acquaintances have been having problems finding their own motivation and just getting through their day. So I thought I would share a little bit about myself and what keeps me going to help them out if they want to watch. And whoever else wants to watch this, I hope it helps. But anyways, this story starts when I was 8 years old. Story about when I was around the age of 8. My dad was in the military and he wasn't always around. As part of the job, you have to go where you are needed. It's just what the military asks you. It's not a big deal. But one of those occasions where he wasn't at home, he was out on one of his missions, some things happened. Yeah. And it essentially ripped my family apart. And most of you could probably guess what it was. Some might not be obvious, but you would catch the hint as this goes on. But one night he comes home and tells my mother, while me and my sister were asleep, tells my mom what happened. And it wasn't the easiest thing for him to admit, and it wasn't the easiest thing for us to hear, for mom to hear at least. After the events, or after my mom, or my dad told my mom that what happened, it started just a chain of events that ripped mom, me, myself, and my sister just right apart. And it wasn't easy. It caused me a lot of pain over the years, and I didn't come out right. Well, I came out okay in the end of it, but it didn't help me through my childhood that much. But that's enough of what happened between the entire family. We'll get down to why I'm telling the story and what happened to me in the process, and hopefully it'll help some people out there. Anyways, again, I was 8 years old, and from that point on until I was about 16, I really didn't have a father figure to look up to. It wasn't the easiest thing in the world, being a young boy, not having an older guy to look up to, no one to lead your way. You just kind of had to find your own path in the world. And as a young child, that's terrifying. Just knowing the fact that there's no one there to teach you what you're supposed to be doing. You just have to kind of look and mimic and hope you're doing it right. And if you're not, then, well, you're just kind of on your own. That's what you know. Well, the worst of the events happened when I was 8 years old. It still bothers me to this day that you can't get the memory out of your head where both parents try to end themselves. And I know they'll probably see this and they'll probably yell at me for it, but it's not an easy thing to go through, to see both your parents completely break all the way down to the point where they don't want to be in this world anymore. And seeing that as a child, I didn't understand it off the bat. Like, what are they doing? They're playing some kind of game, until later on in the years, in another video, I'll explain how all that culminated into another story. But anyways, the school, my elementary school caught wind of what had been going on, the divorce in the family and all of that. And so from 8, after all the events happened, I started seeing a lot of school therapists who were trying to just get me to, talk. Tell them, are you okay? How do you feel about this? Do you understand what's going on? But me, being a young kid, was just like dead silent, didn't know what was going on, everything was fine. It was just let the adults do the adult thing. But yeah, it was not great in the process of it. But a lot of time you'll hear people that are depressed to say that they always feel alone. They could have all these people around them at all times. They could have people they're best friends with. They could have great family members that they get along with, but they still feel cold and they still feel alone just because they felt like the world had abandoned them. And that's how I felt. It wasn't an easy thing to go through. None of this was an easy thing to go through. with all the things that happened when I was younger, from 8 to 16, I'm 20 now, but from 8 to 16, that caused a lot of emotional trauma to the point where, obviously in my voice you can hear it's monotone. I can't show emotion properly, and I try to, but sometimes it comes out completely whack in the other end of the spectrum. I try, it kind of works, kind of doesn't. I'm getting there. But that's just telling people how I feel. Telling people how I feel is getting better. Showing people how I feel, I still come off completely numb. It's just really hard to get over that. Just going about 8 to 10, or yeah, just about 8 years without showing any kind of emotion. It forms your personality. It forms you into a numb being. I wish I wasn't this way, but just the situations I was in, this is how it happened. It's really hard for people to understand who have both parents actually involved in their life, where they don't know that kind of physical and emotional and mental trauma you go through. We try our best to get through it, but in all the interactions I've had from that point until today, it's really hard for people to understand that you grew up with two parents, I grew up with one, and I barely saw the one I had because they had to be working the entire time. It's really hard to explain to people, I really didn't have a parent there, but they did their best for me, and I really appreciate and really love them for that. A lot of you may know that you have friends that come from broken homes, or that only have one parent actively in their lives, and they might not show it on the outside. They might not even have it, but in most cases, the person with only one parent, or they came from a broken home, they knew their dad. I knew my dad. Come from a broken home, only have one parent actively in their lives, they're not going to be the similar run-of-the-mill happy-go-lucky person. They're going to be a little bit different, and it's not going to be a bad thing. It's just going to be, you just got to be a little bit careful with them, because everyone has a story. Everyone has been through something, and it's not an easy thing to go through for anybody. But a lot of the time, for kids who come from a broken home or from a one-parent situation, often blames themselves for the fact that they don't have that other parent in their lives. And sometimes, even if they do have both parents, one's just not always there, the broken home situation, they blame the other parent that isn't there. Like, they don't love me enough, they aren't here for me, why should I call them mom or dad or whatever. But that's not always the case. Some people forgive and forget what's going on and just kind of try to live their life as normal as possible. But for my case, that didn't happen. I always heard you have to forgive, you have to forget, you have to move on with your life. And for 8 years, I heard that, and for 8 years, I always denied it until I eventually turned 17 and my dad showed back up, and started being an actual active role in my life, which I really appreciate, and I really love him for that. But for most of the time, it was just me, my mother, my sister, and I always remember my mother telling me through everything I went through that I always had to remember when I started feeling down about something, whether it was this or that, something went wrong in school, lost one of my friends to some stupid argument, that everything will be okay. And no matter what life puts in front of you, you can always get through it. And I feel like sometimes that's all a person really needs. Because when they fall into depression, it's just a dark, dark area. They feel alone. They feel like they have lost all purpose in their life. And it's really hard to convince them that you're worth something. There's someone out there that needs you. There's something that you can accomplish. It might be tomorrow or it might be somewhere in the future, but it's there, and it's going to and you're going to make a difference in this world no matter what. You just have to get through it. I know life seems unfair, but there's always a brighter side. You just have to travel through that darkness. I'm not saying that it's an easy path. Most of us who come out of depression, like I have, always know in the back of our head that one little thing, just a teeniest little thing, could push us right back off the edge and right back into that dark abyss that depression is sometimes noted as. And it's a scary place, knowing the fact that we could be put back there. And it's something I wish upon no one. Not even my worst enemy. Not even someone I don't know. Just, depression is not a good thing. But the biggest piece of advice I can offer is no matter what life wants to throw at you, no matter what situation you get put into, there's always a way to get through it. No matter what you think, no matter what someone tells you, no matter what is against you, there is always a way to go through it, and you don't have to go through it by yourself. Never think you're alone. Even though you feel like it, even though you think you are, you're not alone. There's always someone out there that will help you. Someone you can lean on. And it might not be one person, it might be a complete group of people. But there's always someone there. You're never going to be alone. Ever. I don't care if you're a 6-year-old watching this because your parents have an internet connection, or you're a 90-year-old in a retirement home watching this because the nurses put it on for you to watch. I just want you all to know, any age you are, any situation you're in, you can get through it, and there's always someone there to help you. Thanks, guys.